Hi, and welcome to Debt Free Divorcee. My name is Kiosha, and I help women heal and rebuild after divorce. We are currently in a series on home ownership, and I recently shared some of my home ownership journey and how I went from $80,000 in debt to becoming a homeowner in under 5 years. Go back and watch that episode if you have not seen it yet. Today, I want to focus on a sensitive topic, and that is whether or not to keep the marital home. There is no cookie cutter way to make this decision. It is a tough decision, and in fact, one of the toughest decisions you have to make in a marriage if you own your home together. And so I don't take it lightly. But I'm going to share today some of the things that help me decide what to do for my situation. I'm long winded, so I have some notes to the side. So if you see me looking off, it is to make sure that I stay on track with what I need to share and don't go down a little rabbit trail that keeps us here for 30 minutes to an hour. The first thing that you need to do is you need to separate the business from the emotional. Your home, where you've lived, where you've loved, where you have given birth and raised children, has a lot of emotional weight. And if you allow that emotional weight to cloud your judgment, you can really get yourself into a situation that can be very detrimental for you and potentially your children in the future. And so you want to make sure that you're able to separate out, how you're feeling from what your finances actually say is reasonable and possible for you to do. And so you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you are keeping a house that you can't afford, but you also don't want to give up a good home that could potentially help you build wealth as well. So you really want to be able to balance out and weigh the pros and cons both ways. But with that in mind, I do also want to caution you that business gets a little leg up on this one, right? The financial side is going to need to weigh a little heavier than the emotional side. And the reason for that is simple. If you end up staying in a home that you can't afford, you could actually do more emotional damage to yourself down the line than if you gave up the home in the first place. If you keep a home but you end up in foreclosure, was it really worth it? Right? And understanding like you are resilient. You're more resilient than you think. Your children are resilient. And, my daughter was 5 when her dad and I separated, and I moved out. I chose to move out. I hadn't made a hard decision at that time to not keep the house, but at that time, it was the best decision for me to leave the home. And so, we moved into an apartment, my daughter and I. And I knew it was going to be hard for her. It was hard for me as well. I knew it was a big change. But I also knew that it was what was best. And so being able to choose the better thing and work through the emotional parts, work through the healing and the growth, and really to be able to see the resiliency on the other side is very important. And so if you are in a situation where it's looking like not keeping the house may be the best thing for you and you're concerned about your children and even yourself, just know like, sis, you're going to be okay. All right? If you have to leave that house, you're going to be okay. Here I am 5 years later and I have a new house. Okay? You're going to be okay. You can do it. I'm not saying that you should necessarily give up your house, but don't be disheartened if you feel like that's something that you may need to do. I understood and I knew that the house that I was living in, my marital home, was an older home and needed a lot of repair. It needed a lot of work in general. And I knew that, some of the systems and things were aging out. It was going to end up costing me money to keep and to maintain, not even mentioning the things that already needed to be upgraded or fixed, right? And I just wasn't in a place where I was ready to throw a lot of money into a house. I had student loan debt, right? I had $80,000 of debt that I wanted to make sure that I was able to tackle and clear up. And so it didn't make good financial sense for me. I knew that I wouldn't be able to pay for most things out of pocket and would have probably ended up taking on even more debt. And so those are the types of things that you have to think about. What brings you freedom financially in the end? Okay. Is it keeping this house and holding on to it? If you can afford it, by all means, go for it. But if you can't afford it, you're going to have to pray about and learn how to let it go. And then there's also the emotional, right? Yeah, there's great things about that home. That home is where I went into labor with my daughter, right? Didn't give birth to her there, but I almost did. But I went into labor with her. There's stories and richness and memories in that home, right? But there's also the volatility and the things that brought my marriage to an end that are in that home, right? And so you kind of have to understand all of the good memories and the things that you want to keep and hold on to that are a part of that house. They also come with the flip side of what were the bad things that went on in that house as well, right? And so for me, the cons were more than the pros. I knew that it was going to be more beneficial for me financially and emotionally and spiritually to leave the house. What do you need to do? How do you discern whether or not you should keep the house from an emotional standpoint, right? You have to weigh those pros and cons. Do yourself a good old pros and cons list. Get you a piece of paper and draw the line down the sheet. What are the memories attached to this house that are good and that you want to stay attached to? What are the memories in this house that you really could do without or that you know may bring hurt or trigger you in different ways, right? Um, and then you need to count the costs. You need to understand the true financial responsibility of your marital home and whether or not you can actually afford that and whether it's worth it for you to take on that financial burden. Okay. And so, a couple of things that I want you to consider is one, can you afford the mortgage, utilities, and maintenance on your own without borrowing any money? If you can, okay, that's excellent. What is the age and the status of your home's major systems and appliances? Are these things nearing the end of life and will therefore need to be replaced? Have they been well maintained and so maybe they don't need to be replaced so quickly? Whatever that is, you need to know, do I have the money? Can I get the money, right? Will I be able to afford the maintenance and or replacement of these systems and appliances without borrowing money? If you can afford it, great. That is another good sign that keeping the house may be in your favor. If you can't, you may need to let it go. I kind of have mentioned of all of this throughout, but like I just want to sum this up in saying do not make the decision of whether or not to keep your marital home from a place of anger. Okay? The Bible says, be angry, but sin not. All right. It also says, do not let the sun go down on your anger, or you give the devil a foothold. Right. And so don't do that. If I should say, when anger rises up in you as you're going through this divorce, address it, right? Do you need to get an accountability partner? Do you need to have a friend that you can call and vent to and talk to who can kind of help talk you down? Do you need to have a therapist, somebody that you can talk through the things that are angering you so that when you're making decisions, you're making them from a healthy place, right? And that could be, I'm not He can't have this house. This is my house. Can't afford the house, but you so bent on him not having it that now you're getting yourself into a situation, right? It could also be, I don't even care. Just take the house. I don't even care. Just take the house. I'll get another house. Okay, but you walking away from something that you can afford and that could benefit your children, and help build legacy and help cement you in building wealth, right? So on both sides, whether it's for or against keeping the house, you need to maintain a clear head, and whatever that looks like for you, get some community, get some people around you who can help you keep a level head as you're making all of these decisions, because you do not want to make these decisions rashly and out of a place of anger and hurt. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Everybody's story is different and your circumstances are different. And so I definitely say, in addition to thinking through some of the things that I've mentioned, get with the Lord, pray, ask God, Lord, clearly tell me in a way that I will understand and will not bring confusion into my life. Am I supposed to keep this home? Okay? Because sometimes you want to keep it and you can afford it, and it's still not God's will. And so we have to check in with Him on every single thing that we do and every single decision we make. If you are divorced or separated, you are in the right place. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments, are you in this process or have you gone through this process? What worked for you? And is there anything else that you want more information on? If you know somebody who is divorced or separated, share this video with them. I hope that it can help them just the way that these tips and everything help me. Thanks for watching.